Welcome to the Pickleball Innovators podcast, which shines a spotlight on the movers and shakers in the fast-growing pickleball club space. Today's guest is Talluri, CEO and co-founder of Good Game Sports, a software platform helping pickleball clubs run better events with less staff. Dinniker started as a competitive tennis player, discovered pickleball during COVID, and ended up renting courts on weekends to run his own tournaments. When the process got complicated, he built an app to solve it. That app became Good Game Sports. In this episode, Dinniker talks about why open play is losing ground to structured competition, how giving players more control unlocks more revenue for operators, and what he's watching closely as the industry matures. Let's get into it. All right. Hi, Dinniker. How are you doing today? And welcome to the Pickleball Innovators podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Of course. Super excited to chat with you and get some background on Good Game Sports. To start, could you just share kind of the origin story and maybe what problem you were looking to solve for the pickleball industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a tennis player pretty much since I was 5 years old. I've been playing competitively since I was 8. So all the way to high school, really until I turned 18, I was playing competitive tennis, part of USTA and everything like that. Really from ages like 16 to 18, as I kind of slowed down some of the more competitive play, I started to help my local facilities and kind of my home clubs like run a lot of their large level 1 national level tournaments. Most of it was done on paper and pencil. Obviously, you put in scores into USTA, but that was like a very manual, tenuous process. When I started college, really 2020 is when I first started playing pickleball during COVID. Obviously, a lot of us were indoors for most of the time, so it was really good to get outside and be outdoors. When I graduated, I moved to the Washington, D.C. area, and that's really where I started playing pickleball with friends and just going to the social parks and being able to play with hundreds of people every day. And being the competitive person I am, I wanted to start playing some tournaments, and there weren't really any in my area. So I partnered with the local facilities. I was just renting out their courts and running tournaments every weekend for almost 2-3 months. I was doing it in the beginning. Coming from a software engineering background, I thought I could make this process easier on myself and easier on the players to be able to not come up to me and ask me, oh, when am I playing next? Who am I playing next? All those different questions that people love to ask when they're in the middle of an event and with their partners and things like that. So built an app, very simple in the beginning, just saw who you play, when you play, things like that. It started to catch on for some of the facilities in the area. They got used to it. They started running events based on the software, and that's kind of where it started. But there's still a lot of me going there still and being there in case there was any issues. And really not until last year in November or October did we really start licensing out the software facility. It was mostly just me and my team kind of going to these facilities running events.
What are some of the biggest challenges you're seeing with club operators right now as they go to run tournaments or organized play? And then maybe what are some of the features of Good Game Sports software and technology that you're really proud of?
Yeah, those are two really good questions and stuff that, we're still trying to solve every day. Obviously, there's not a perfect solution right now, but I think going from court utilization to running more events and focusing on event management, we're seeing some stats with some of our facilities based on research that almost 90% of the registrations come from event registrations for a single facility. So our goal is to really be helping them in terms of being more event focused and running a lot of these events with less staff, like not have to overhire or hire more, but keep the same staff members and just be able to run 2 to 3 times the events that they were running before. And I think that's really what goes into the feature that I'm kind of most proud of at Good Game Sports. It's we give a lot of power into the players, allow them to put in their own scores, see where they're going next. So you really only have to deal with an administrator or some staff member if somebody leaves early, somebody comes in late, somebody, gets injured mid-event and has to miss a few rounds. So that's the real flexibility that Good Game Sports gives you, is that you don't have to restart the bracket or make any changes just because somebody drops out mid-round or comes in late. The software handles all that for you, ensures that everyone's playing the same amount of games, you're playing players at your level. Our software is customizable to any facility's needs, and we don't force you to run events based on what we.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that flexibility is important because the industry's changing and what customers want is changing. So that's cool. You have a lot of conversations with your club operator clients, and I'm assuming other people in the industry. I would love to hear from you on maybe some of the top trends that you're seeing in the pickleball industry right now.
I think from an events perspective, obviously that's kind of where we get a lot of our research is it's really the open play or the less structured events are kind of going away overall. That's really the trend that we're seeing. It's a lot more your ladder leagues, your MLP events. People want that more complex or more creativity when they're events, right? It used to be let's just get any events. Let's just bring people in our doors. Let's run open play. It's really easy for staff to run an open play because you just let people go, or you're rotating round robins that are really easy because it's just very simple format. Everyone's playing with everyone. But what we're noticing as a trend is players want a little bit more competition and they want to be able to win and get rewarded for those wins and see their progress over time. And a rotating partner round robin or a open play doesn't necessarily give you that. And, we have the most number of formats among any software in the space right now. So over 20 formats and counting. So it just kind of gives the operators a lot more flexibility to try out different formats, try out variations of ladder leagues, try out our MLP events, and keep it so players are still getting excited. They want to come back. They want to compete and seeing themselves move up over time of the league or event or anything like that.
Yeah, love it. Is there anything else that you want to share with club operators who may be listening, whether it's a piece of advice or just what you're excited about on the horizon for your company?
I would say my biggest piece of advice, and this is, I'm no club operator, right? I'm just kind of building out the software. So everything that I like to share is based on what we're hearing off other club operators, or either I've interviewed them or I've gotten feedback or I see who's utilizing our platform to the fullest. And the number one piece of advice is give more power to your players, right? I know players want to come in, they want to feel like the staff is handling everything, but you'd be surprised the amount of players that are okay with taking out their phone, putting in their own scores. That usually ends up unlocking so many more events the facility can run that they get to participate in so many future events just by that little tweak. Kind of forcing's not the right word, but I would use a word encouraging the players to help out and put some of their scores on their phones, be able to look on the TV and see what court they're going to next. That little switch and allowing your players to do that unlocks so much additional revenue and the ability to run so many more events, because now your staff can manage 2 to 3 events and you get to diversify your portfolio of different types of events that you're running. We've seen that in a few of our facilities that we've kind of encouraged to take this next step, and they're able to run 2 to 3 times the amount of events that they started out with.
Yeah, awesome. All right, I think that's it. I guess the only other question might be, you're going to be a partner at the 2026 Pickleball Innovators Summit in October. And what are you most excited about for that event?
We've done a lot of conferences and stuff just from where we started now for the last 2 to 3 years. And I think what I'm most excited about is learning a lot from operators and the people who are on the front lines and hearing about their experiences with running events. I think this is truly a one-of-a-kind, unique experience that I think a lot of people should take advantage of, because there's not a lot of events like this. Trust me, we've been looking for events like this around the area that gives us the opportunities to really hear from people who are dealing with players and running events and programming every single day. So I think just listening and hearing their insights and understanding from them what are some problems, what's going well, most importantly, and where can we innovate and come in to really help them take that next step. And I think that's what me specifically are really excited to go and be in a room with all these really successful people. And we all have the same goal in mind, right? We all want to help pickleball grow. We all want to encourage more people to play, whatever we can do to help.
Yeah, exactly. And we're very excited to have you as a partner. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel. I really appreciate it.